Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is December 6th, 2017. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here early this afternoon with Dr. Albers. And, we're going to be discussing some of the current events that are happening around the world: wild weather, earthquakes, volcanoes. Also, Dr. Albers' last report, she just hit 100 reports that Dr. Albers has written. And also, before she started keeping count, Dr. Albers, how many reports did you actually write before you started keeping count?
Sure, I'm not even sure, Scott, but I'm sure it was about 100 as well.
Yeah, I think you did. So, actually, officially, it's been about
200.
Yeah, close to. I think it was maybe 75. Yeah, you're close to 200 reports. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things going on around the world, and yes, there are many things going on in the world of Planet X News. Now, a lot of you may or may not know that we have fired up the Planet X News website, and I'm including probably anywhere from about 10 to 15 articles a day on the Planet X News website. I've mentioned to all of you before, the reason why we really pushed and got the website started and going with a lot of content on it is because the fact of the matter is, I don't want to be censored. That's just the bottom line. Dr. Albers and myself, our main goal is to reach people around the world. And, we're getting some fantastic statistics in from the website. And, the website has a pretty good analytical program, just like YouTube. It's actually a little bit more in depth in certain areas. And, we were only reaching people in about 6 or 7 countries via YouTube. But now with the website, as I looked at the statistics this morning, I believe it was as of Saturday that just passed, we were reaching 30 countries. I checked today, and we are now reaching people in 35 countries. And that is a big deal to us, because now we're getting more of the exposure, and more people are starting to wake up. They're starting to listen. They're starting to tune in. And that's a good thing, because that's what we're here for. What do you think about all that, Dr. Albers? I mean, you've been a big help in all of this, but what do you think of our numbers going up on the website?
Oh, that's
bring it up, by the way. I'm going to bring it up and screen share with everybody.
Yeah. It's just wonderful, Scott, that more and more people in more countries are now able to view this information. As you know, it's all about letting people know the truth. And of course, the powers that be don't want us to tell people the truth. So I think it's wonderful that more and more people are aware of it and are seeing this. It was such a wonderful idea that you had.
I've had this blog, blog website for, oh my goodness, probably maybe August or September of 2016. And because it's a Google product, all of my videos, they automatically get uploaded to my blog if I want, and blah, blah, blah. That's basically all that I kept it for, was that reason. And I just felt it was time for us to really start pushing and getting information out there. And ladies and gentlemen, just the other day, I added some new things here to the blog. You can reach our Planet X News YouTube channel. You can reach Dr. Albers' channel. These are direct links. You could also reach the Planet X News research channel. So all three of the channel links take you directly to YouTube. I just wanted to go over some of the stories and some of the reports that I've been putting up on the website. And like I said, folks, I'm doing anywhere from 10 to 15. One day I even did 20 reports because there were so many things happening around the world and also additional evidence that we wanted to share. It's much easier for me to share a lot of things with people from around the world on the website than it is on that other social media that we're on right now. Also, the Planet X News Facebook page works very well also. You know, Facebook doesn't bother me. They don't censor me. So, we've made a big push with our Planet X News Facebook page. And I think now we have like 14 or 15,000 followers from all ends of the world, which is fantastic. One thing I wanted to get into, folks, I've been getting a lot of emails, people worried about weather conditions. I'm starting to get emails from all over the Middle East. I did have a lot of followers in India. I even had followers in Israel and Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan. I mean, I had people from all over that region early on in our YouTube channel back in 2016. And then in October of 2016, they put the kibosh on all of that. And many people from around the world, including Europe and Asia and Indonesia, well, they actually lost contact with my YouTube channel. But now through the website and our Facebook page, we're now able to stay in touch with these people, stay in touch by utilizing the website. And now they're gaining more and more and more information, and they're able to share the articles immediately from the Planet X News Facebook page directly to either the groups that they belong to or their personal page. Now, something I wanted to mention, folks, and I've mentioned this before. All of you obviously have a YouTube channel. And if you want to start doing some reporting, listen, I want you to utilize the Planet X News website. You can actually start to do screen sharing videos or live streams right on your YouTube channel. Start gathering a following of people, and you could utilize the news information and the research information that Dr. Albers and I put up on this website. Simply screen sharing the article, even the article that I have right here. You could do your own news report, make a short video. You can actually do a live stream, preview a few of these stories, but I think it will definitely work for you. I use OBS screen sharing software. There are tutorials on YouTube for how to set it up. It's free. It doesn't use a lot of your computer CPU. And it works for me. Works very, very well for some free screen sharing software. If you need to watch a video on how to use it, set it up properly, it's all on YouTube under OBS screen share software. But I wanted to get into this report that I wrote yesterday. This was concerning snow in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
What do you think about that, Doctor?
Well, it's another sign that the Earth is wobbling, I think. I mean, it's not supposed to snow in that area of the world for sure.
Yeah, at least I don't think so. We're going to go ahead and get into this report that I wrote up yesterday. And a lot of this information came directly from the Weather Channel. So, I don't think that, they're going to have bad information. It's the Weather Channel, for God's sakes. But anyways, folks, leading into this article, before some U.S. Midwest Northeast cities see snow first. I think they need somebody to kind of rewrite their headings. But they're starting to see snow, as this article states, in the U.S. Midwest before Northeast cities start to see snow. That is very unusual. We did see some of these weird patterns through the end of 2016. We did have a very mild winter on the east coast of the United States, but there were people in the central states, the north central states, that just were battered to a living hell. And I think we are just about on the forefront of very extreme weather in this country once again. We're also seeing very extreme weather all over the area of Indonesia. Not only are they dealing with all of the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes, but they're now dealing with cyclones and these massive downpours of rain. A lot of that information, folks, I can't show you on YouTube, but I am filing all of the reports on this information on the Planet X News website. And a lot of it has video that you can click on and you can actually see what is happening. Now, they're predicting in this article that snow will blanket parts of northern Mexico through Friday, giving areas south of the border their first snow of the season. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of snow in Mexico. Have you, Doctor? I mean,
no, I thought it was a warm country, that it never snowed there. It's too close to the equator, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, you can see it. This is what their prediction is. Now, I know over here in the Northeast, I think my weather charts were showing some snow coming into the area by mid next week or something of that nature. I mean, it is winter time. We should expect this, but this situation down in northern Mexico, north central Mexico, this is just, this is what I'm saying, folks. We're seeing very, very weird things happening around the world. There's no doubt about it. Very, very erratic jet streams in both the northern and southern hemisphere. I mean, I examine it every single day. I keep close watch on it. But this is just one of the stories that I posted this. What was it, yesterday, I believe, or earlier this morning? I think this went up. And there's a lot of articles on here about things they're finding in space. This article here: 2 super Earths around a red dwarf. They labeled as K2-18. Again, over the course of the last 2 years, folks, they've been kind of like with this predictive programming with people, releasing a lot of information pertaining to brown dwarfs. But they keep telling you about brown dwarfs that they're finding many, many light years away. I mean, that doesn't affect us. What's happening right here on this planet and with our sun, well, see, that's what counts, But I think they're programming people with the verbiage. They keep putting it out there: brown dwarf, brown dwarf, brown dwarf. We found another one. We found another one. And then when the information possibly comes out in mainstream media, you know what the words brown dwarf are. And then they're going to start saying, oh, well, we've been finding them. We've wrote papers on them. Yeah. Doctor, how many people do you think sit there all day and read abstracts?
Yeah, not many. I did at certain times whilst I was lecturing, sometimes read a lot of abstracts, but that was the time when I was writing papers, or I had to prepare presentations for conferences. But usually I think these articles are actually calling attention calling people's attention away from the solar system and outwards to other solar systems, because the real mystery is actually here in our own solar system, but they don't want anybody to mention that. Someone left an interesting comment under one of my videos. I think it was like something about what the national physicists and astronomers, or the silence from the national astronomers and physicists is deafening. After I show evidence, after more evidence of the fact of what's happening in the solar system, and you do the same thing, but no one, absolutely no one wants to touch it. No one wants to go against NASA.
Well, we refer to that as that's a suicide for your career.
Yes.
Just like they talk about politicians when they do, something off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They call it political suicide.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, everything's driven by money. So, ladies and gentlemen, these astronomers and these astrophysicists, they're not going to jump on board and start yelling and screaming about anything of this nature. Okay. We've already discussed in many other live streams and videos the amount of scientists that have actually lost their lives pertaining to this subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now that all of that has been exposed for many years, well, maybe they've stopped killing the scientists and the astronomers. It seems that's what's happened because it's been publicized. But none of these men or women are going to step up to the plate and start speaking the truth. But who cares?
Mm-hmm.
You have Dr. Albers and you have myself. Now, we're not the greatest in the world, but we have made some of the biggest discoveries on this subject matter anywhere in this world, anywhere on this planet. And, shortly, I'm going to show you some things that I've been taking a look at, and they're very recent. Very recent. I've gone back through some information from December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, but they're delaying some of this information that I go over. Normally, I would get it kind of up to date. Now I'm having to kind of wait 2 or 3, maybe even 4 days sometimes to get some of this updated data so I can see it. Just heading into what's happening in California. I mean, obviously, folks, all of you see what is happening out there once again. And this was just like, boom, a flashpoint. All of a sudden, fires. And, the article that I have up here on the website, Planet X News website, Southern California is a tinderbox. The wet season has begun, but there's no rain. There's no rain at all. A lot of this information that I got for this article, a lot of it came from NOAA. And I read through it. And these winds, these Santa Ana winds, gusting 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, instantly causing these wildfires to just burn everything in sight. A lot of this information has been updated, and you're seeing it all over Facebook, all over social media, all over Twitter. So, folks, it's almost like they're trying to burn these people out of the state. Now, California is a very important region if you have to maintain control of this country. Texas would be another. We saw what happened in Texas this past summer in Houston. There's 3 big areas of this country that you really need to worry about: California, Texas, and New York City. We've already seen the pre-planning stages. You all know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to keep it vague on that note. But this was a very interesting article. I'm going to be updating some information on the fires that they're just, running amok in the state, and it's very scary. Also, folks, there's been a lot of earthquake activity on the San Andreas Fault, and I did a report and an article yesterday, and the article is Beyond San Andreas, the 5 scariest fault lines in the United States. And you all know we just had this 4.2, 4.5 earthquake in Delaware. Now, when they have the earthquake in Delaware, all of a sudden, scientists are releasing reports about a massive magma chamber under that area of the United States. So, it just seems to me it's always after the fact. And the scientists that released the report, I did a story on it. It's somewhere here on the website. I mean, they were very cautious in their words in the report, but they still had no idea when something catastrophic would occur. They're not going to come out and say that. But this also was a very interesting article. If any of you want to read it, it's up there. You can share it with your friends and your family members and your followers on Facebook and Twitter. And it's a very easy way to get the word out, get people reading about these things that are happening. And it goes on to tell you about each one of these faults in the United States, the top 5: Cascadia, the New Madrid seismic zone, and the Ramapo seismic zone. And this is the one that was referred to in the article by the scientists right after the Delaware earthquake. So this was actually kind of new to me. Doctor, have you ever heard of this seismic zone?
No, I haven't actually. It's interesting, but there have been earthquakes in that area, New York area, recently. So,
yeah, I mean they've been kind of like little scattered over there, New Hampshire, I think, Vermont, and there are a couple small ones in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New Jersey. So I have some websites that actually, some colleges over there that have seismic equipment, and I keep monitoring it, and there is some weird shaking going on, but nothing to write home about. Very, very, very small amounts of seismic activity. The other one was this Hayward fault.
Yes.
And the Denali fault system. So these are the top 5 seismic zones, I guess, that are the most dangerous and the scariest in the United States. A very intriguing article, very, very short, quick information to read. There was an article that came out pertaining to Greenland and their temperatures and what's going on up there. And it was very, very interesting. So folks, definitely, take a look at that, because, Greenland is Greenland, man. It's like, nothing but ice. Well, it's a little bit of a different story going on in Greenland once again. There was a very critical article that came out pertaining to Puerto Rico and all of the destruction from the hurricane season over there. And we all saw that play out. Well, lo and behold, the people in these governments, they're yelling and screaming, they need money, they need money. So the Puerto Rican government pays the government employees $100 million in bonuses after asking for $94 billion in federal disaster relief. Wow. What human being in government is worth $100 million when your roads look like this and you still have people in the dark? My God. And this is just a quick, short article about what just went down. And this just went down. So you ask for 94 billion. Get the hell out of here. But yet you find the money in your Puerto Rican government to pay out 100 million in bonuses. Wow. Talk about sick. People wonder why, people don't trust government. This is what happens. There's some new information here. A quick article about Planet 9 from the two astronomers, Brown and Badagen, I think his last name is. And Planet 9 hypothesis supported by new evidence. Doctor, what's your take on Planet 9? We both watched that documentary on it.
Well, it's the same old story that comes up over and over again to again take people's attention from what's actually happening in the solar system. We have these objects coming in, and they would, of course, affect the orbits of certain objects at the edge of the solar system. So that's to be expected as they come in. But the thing is, they are at the sun. It is so obvious they are at the sun. They are attracted to the sun. They are in the sun's corona. And they keep taking people's attention from the sun to the outer solar system and to further outwards, a couple of light years outwards. And this is a pattern that they go through. And you just see it very clearly. It just boggles the mind that anybody cannot see what's actually happening at the sun. And the truth is, they, of course, see it. I mean, they take several steps to hide images, say in the stereo HI, they superimpose images, they put images together in order to hide the fact that these objects are there. But they are there. The evidence is overwhelming that they are there. But they keep trying to, not let people realize what's actually happening in the solar system. And this is just another one.
Yeah, I think they pass a lot of disinformation.
Yeah.
Moving people's mindset to, some other zone.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think the Planet 9 theory, the hypothesis, I do believe it is possible. There is a lot of credit to their research, their math. And, I watched a very in-depth, kind of behind the scenes documentary on Planet 9. Constantine was in it. Everybody associated with this project, they all gave their commentary. And, it was very, very interesting. There's definitely something out there, but I think they're masking things with this story of the Planet 9.
Mm. Yeah, Scott, nowadays physicists are using mathematics and simulations to mask the fact that they don't really know what they are talking about. And, this has been my belief. This is what I've seen myself. Don't forget, I am a theoretical physicist myself. I have used mathematics a lot. I enjoy using the mathematics. But the thing is, I still believe that physics should be driven by observation. And the observation, first of all, shows that the gravitational-led view of the universe is wrong. And all these calculations that they are doing are using that view, the gravitational-led view of the universe. So once you have falsified the theory and you keep on using it, you have just lost all credibility. But these people do not accept the fact that the gravity-led view of the universe is wrong. They keep on using it, even though it's obvious that it's false. In the light of what's happening in the solar system and the objects that are at the sun.
The documentary that we watched the other day, that real in-depth documentary, where they were mentioning the whole Big Bang theory and
Yes.
and some other deep science, deep theories. But I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a physicist, and I don't
Yes.
have that background. But wow, just listening to some of them, you can easily see right through their theories.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are hundreds of images that show galaxies with a low redshift connected by dust to objects that have high redshifts. The whole Big Bang theory is based on the fact that an object with a high redshift is further away and moving faster and faster away from us. But when you have two objects that have to be in the same place, one has low redshift, the other one has high redshift, that falsifies that theory immediately. The Big Bang theory has been falsified, but they continue to work as if it is the truth. In fact, they believe in it as if it's a religion.
Yeah, I noticed that. They don't want any type of change. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, they don't want their little scientific toes stepped on. Well, too bad, guys. One other thing I want to mention here, while we were here on the website, we were talking about that weather, and I was mentioning these severe cyclonic storms. This massive one belted the northern part of India, and even before that, wow, the weather over there. I mean, streets flooded, towns flooded. And ladies and gentlemen, like I've mentioned before, people are losing their lives in these instances, and this is happening around the world. And just because it's not happening in your neighborhood today doesn't mean it can't happen at some point in time. That's one of my biggest points. We see everything happening in other countries to other people, but don't think that you're immune to any of this. Life has turned into a big risk. It's very hard to believe how time is changing, but nothing's getting any better. It's actually becoming a very psychotic world to live in. And there are billions of people on this planet that probably don't have any idea about what is really happening and some of the major subject matters that we pay very close attention to. It's a damn shame. A few days ago, Chevaluche volcano went into full eruption, spewing volcanic ash 33,000 feet into the air. That is a major eruption. We all saw things playing out last week with Bali, the volcano, Agung volcano in Bali. Still waiting for a major blast from that volcano. And we have over 30, I'll repeat that, we have over 30 volcanoes in eruption mode, not like this strong eruption from Chevaluche, but 30. I think it might be over 30. A lot of pressure releasing from the interior of the Earth. Dr. Albers, you want to touch on that with the volcanic activity releasing this pressure, good, bad, what can happen, why it's happening?
Yeah, well, volcanoes are extremely dangerous. A huge volcanic eruption from a supervolcano could lead to the end of life on Earth because it blocks out sunlight, it causes the planet to freeze, It causes plants not to be able to undergo photosynthesis, and so the plants die. And all life on Earth is dependent on plants growing. So if all the plants die, of course, then all organisms on Earth would die. So this kind of thing is very, very serious, that these volcanoes or volcanic activity is increasing. But we do know why this is happening. I keep saying in my articles that these objects that are interacting with the sun are leading to the sun having more activity, and this activity is ionizing our ionosphere, and that is inducing currents inside the Earth. And of course, that would cause the magma to warm up inside the Earth, and it leads to currents and fissures and what I call electric earthquakes under the Earth. All this breaks up the Earth, and the magma keeps warming up, and of course it starts rising towards the surface. So of course it will lead to earthquakes, and to more earthquakes, more volcanic activity. They are related, and this is to be expected. These objects, as I have shown many times, are, and you have as well, are in the sun's corona. And I have now explained in several articles the effects that they have and the rejuvenation process that they have. And it seems that some of them are coming reasonably close to Earth, close enough to cause the Earth wobble to increase and to have a certain effect on the Earth, leading to tidal events. I've talked about all this before, but it's to be expected. And it's getting worse. Yes, it's supposed to get worse because the number of objects is increasing, and these objects are rejuvenating more and more. And as they rejuvenate, the effect on the Earth will increase.
Yeah, the volcanic activity, I've been keeping a very close eye on it, and I mean, it looks to me like it's just it's increasing in the violent eruptions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's all that we really need now
Yeah.
is, you know, a really, really violent, like a Mount St. Helens type of eruption.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would just really, really wreak havoc. You
Yes.
know, they wouldn't have to chemtrail that much. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once the volcanic ash makes its
Yes.
way, you know, all around the world, you know, in the jet stream,
Mm-hmm.
you'll feel that everywhere on this planet with a massive eruption like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
we would end up with basically permanent cloud cover, at least for a few years. And so there would be no need to chemtrail, I suppose.
Oh, you know, they'll be up there.
Yeah.
I just opened up the live chat there for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw somebody mention that they didn't like me very much.
Well, we cannot ever please everybody, Scott, I suppose.
Yeah, I really don't care. You know, I'm not here for a popularity contest.
Yes.
And to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, you know, all of our viewers, our followers, subscribers, people in general,
Mm-hmm.
you know, here's the bottom line with me. As long as you don't rub me the wrong way and insult me, I get along fine with everybody. I'm a very nice person.
Yes, you are. I agree with that fully. I think you're a wonderful person, and you will help people, you know, to the utmost. I've seen you do that, and it's a pity that people behave like that with you.
Oh yeah, people are like, you know, people can be like animals. You know, they can just,
Yeah.
you know, be the worst. You know, and ladies and gentlemen, you know, you all pretty much know that a lot of the YouTube channels have what they call trolls that, you know, try to influence the chat. They try to influence in the comment section of the videos, and they try to make their stupid little debunking videos. And the fact of the matter is, you know, they're just complete idiots. but they don't, they don't want you to have the information. But with today's technology, information does have the ability to just fly around the world in a matter of milliseconds using social media. So that's why they're here. I toy around with them, slap them around a little bit, but in all actuality, they really don't bother me. But what they're really after is they're after you, the viewers, the followers. They're trying to infiltrate you, your mindset, what you believe in, blah blah blah, all of that good juicy stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here for a second. Oh, you know what I wanted to do real fast? Just let me do something here real quick. Okay. Just want to make sure I have the right screen up there first. We're going to talk about a piece of video that that got sent in to me, and it's a little mind jarring. Give me a second to bring it up, and we'll be right over here at the Planet X News YouTube channel, and it's this video right here, and I named it "House of the Rising Two Suns." And I'm just going to go ahead and just pop this up here real quick. And just make sure we have good resolution and blah, blah, blah. And, folks, I'm going to go ahead and let this play. People can make their own assumptions. They can come to their own conclusions. This video came a couple of days ago. I think it was on the 3rd or the 4th. It was recorded in what was said to be Colorado. And I don't exactly know what's going on in this video, but it does have me, thinking. And I'll let the video play through. And I took some still shots from this video. I tried to work with the video to try to clear it up. And I was able to help the video out a little bit, but it's still very shaky. There have been some theories that this is a projection from the sun. People said, oh, it's the moon. Now, I darkened this so we can get a clearer view of what was back there. So that's why the sky looks very dark.
It's not a lens flare because the objects at times look different. And if it was a lens flare, the shape of the clouds in front of them would be exactly the same all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I've answered probably a couple of hundred emails with people's views about it. And I try to explain, you don't just sit there and watch the video 1 or 2 times. You literally have to dissect these videos. It's best to do it in a video, a really good video program, a video making program. And that's exactly what I did. Now, that's not the moon, because I took the time frame of when this was recorded, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the moon was not positioned like you're seeing it in this video.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't anywhere near this location. So that would be the first impossibility.
Yeah.
Some others said, well, is that one of those cameras that, causes that ghosting reflection? I don't know exactly what type of camera system was used, but it didn't look like any of the Nikon P900 footage where you always see the ghosted image floating around from the internal mechanisms of that camera. The differences in cloud cover is kind of what astonished me. I'm going to just stop it right there. What you're looking at here is the sun. This object is obviously out there in space. There's cloud cover over it. Up here, over here, right here, and the sun is shining through the clouds. So in a lot of those ghosted images from that P900 or these expensive digital cameras, the ghosted image looks identical to what you're seeing as far as the moon or the sun would go if you were recording it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this has me a little stumped, and a little concerned also because, to get a really freak sighting like that.
Well, it cannot be the moon, Scott, because
no, it's not the moon. I checked the positioning and all of that. The moon is not the question.
Even if, well, first of all, you can see that the object is yellow. When does the moon look yellow? It's yellower than the object that's supposed to be the sun, which is supposed to be the one that's yellow.
Well, look, we were under the supermoon situation, event going on, and there are times when the supermoon does have that golden glow to it, but you can see everything on the moon, all of the definitions, all of the darker areas, all of it clearly. But this, no.
Yeah, and also then, the moon would not be visible this close to the sun, no matter how bright it is, how supermoon it is, because the moon is reflecting the sun, Scott. This would mean the moon would have to be on the same side as the sun. And it's impossible for us to have a full moon on the same side as the sun. It would be a new moon then.
Exactly. And this stopping the video right here in this frame, I mean, come on. I mean, the clouds are clearly in front of this object. This is clearly the sun. I have taken hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographs of the sun, coming up with this same type of image. One person said, "Oh no, that's the moon you're looking at, the big white ball. It's overexposed." Well, that could be a possibility if it was, at night, but this was late afternoon.
Yeah.
I believe it was like 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere around there. And then how do you get the superimposed object behind the clouds off in the distance? So that I'm just not buying that either. I mean, I'm open to all kinds of suggestions. That's why I posted the video. I posted the information on the Planet X News Facebook page and said, "Hey folks, let's take a look at this." It was highly pixelated because he was moving the camera and zooming and really not, staying focused on the object.
Well, Scott, I would have to say that this object has to be a light source, because if it was something that was reflecting sunlight, it would have, like I said before, be on either behind the sun or in front of the sun. It would be behind the camera then. So the fact that this object is, well, if it was reflecting the sun, it would have to be in a distance behind the sun, and that would make it, huge. But if it's, I think it's more likely to just be a light source in the sky, So a light source means probably a star that's emitting light.
Oh, it was emitting a lot of light.
Yeah, it's a light source. It's not a planet. It's not a moon. It has to be an object that is emitting its own light, a light source. And a light source is a star. Planets don't emit their own light.
Yeah, now these, the video was in bad shape, and the still photographs, all of it was in pretty bad shape as far as quality. But, I did my own digitizing work, and I increased the definition, and I worked with the video footage and also the still images that I captured. And it was very hard, even with the still images, because the man was constantly moving the camera instead of staying dead focused. So the camera can actually focus in, adjust, and record. So let that be a lesson to all of you folks. If you're out there and, you know, you're capturing something breathtaking like this, don't move the camera. Focus in on what you're looking at and just record. Don't keep on zooming in and out and all of that and panning back and forth. Just videotape the big show. That's it. Keep your camera steady. Because I've over the years, I've gone through, oh my God, so many shaky videos, and people are telling me, look at this, look at this. And I'm like, I email them back and I'm like, look at what? You panned the camera all over the place. You were shooting this through trees. What am I looking at? You know, I'm looking at a shaky video. So let's all learn from that. Keep that camera dead on steady. So I cleaned these photographs up the best that I could to try to get all of the large pixels. It was very heavily pixelated, but I cleaned them up pretty good. And in this still image, the sun had already broke through the cloud cover. And the cloud cover, because there's some contrast added to this, the clouds are going to be this darker area and this lighter gray area. You can clearly see, once again, the clouds are in front of this object. Here's a little cloud cover up here, a little over here. But in general, the object is way out there. It's not any type of a ghosted image. I just don't see the evidence for that. I don't. Now, this picture came into question right here, this still shot. One person emailed me, just one, and said, well, look, the same type of cloud cover is on both objects.
Well, you
it's
can
a
see
duplicate
it's
image.
different.
And clearly, folks, this individual was wrong. They didn't look at this still photograph clearly. So if you notice how very thin right there, this little stretch of cloud cover is over the sun. And take a look at this image. Look at the distance between the cloud cover and the top. Look at the distance. This is not the same image. This is not a ghosted image. This is not a reflection. There's no way.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a question of recognizing a shape.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're going to look at it and you're going to make an observation, you know, make one that's now. Here's the next frame in the video. I mean, I don't know what. Maybe people just look at it one time. They're not really, you know, analyzing it, looking at it frame by frame. I mean, folks, when you really got to do something like that, that's what you have to do. You have to look at it really hardcore, frame by frame. You got to zoom in a little bit, take some still photographs like this.
Yes.
If this was a reflected image, well, here's a real big round cloud just covering the tip. Here is a very thin, elongated cloud just covering the top of the sun here. So how does that look like that?
Yeah, the
So
shape
once again,
of the two objects is totally different. So one cannot be a ghosted image of the other, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's just a complete impossibility. Now, these still photographs, I tried my best to clean them up, but the pixels were just too large.
Yes.
And but they came out so. You know, in trying to just capture this so I can show you what's going on. Now, one thing I wanted to point out real quick here. People were pointing out this object up here. Now, because there was some contrast added to these photographs, this actually produced an illumination of this object on the cloud.
Yes.
But that only came out after I added the contrast, which was like kind of a pink contrast, darkened it a little bit, because I was trying to get rid of the pixels.
Mm.
And that's one
Well,
technique.
that may be a lens flare of the top object, as you say, that became visible when you changed the contrast.
Yes, exactly.
And that shows you again that that's a real object. It produced a secondary image of itself.
Yeah, and then, you know, right here, same thing. You have this very, very long, elongated cloud over the sun right at the top, and it's in your view. And when you look up here, that's not occurring.
Mm.
You know, so again, I analyzed the video, oh my, for hours and hours and hours. And I mean, I took it apart the best that I could. And that's what I came up with.
Mm. I think you did a wonderful job there, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking because I've seen so many of these videos, and you know, you can get fooled by those videos.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They do look spectacular, and so on and so forth. What I'm going to do here real quick, we're going to jump into where the hell is that picture at? Oh, right here. I just want to show you what me and Dr. Albers are looking at over the next day or so. This was coming from stereo imaging from today, very, very, very early today. And I know the little troll scum, they'll be jumping all over this, and they can do whatever they want to do. I was checking out the stereo ahead Core 2 image. It was kind of lagging behind for the last couple of days. A lot of interference from what's happening on the sun. The sun's been very active in regions that are not Earth facing. And the positioning of the spacecraft Stereo A compared to where this little object is, where my pointer is, and I'll zoom in, but because they already have it so heavily pixelated, it's kind of hard to see. But there is a very well-defined spherical object right there.
Yes.
And there's something else. There's three other little objects right here. I don't know exactly what they are, but whenever you have this type of interference on Stereo A, Core 2, it's very hard to distinguish things. But what I noticed is this little object right there. It had either a reflection, but it had a light source illuminating from it. And yes, I was able to detect that just by looking at this original image. So I added some different filters to it, and I started looking at the image much, much closer. I immediately ruled out that it is Mercury. Mercury is in the vicinity, but this is not Mercury. This object only appears in this one frame. And 12 minutes later, is it 12 or 16 minutes later, the next photograph comes out and it's gone.
Yeah.
So if it's Mercury, did Mercury pick up speed in its orbit or what?
No, it just cannot be Mercury. Mercury would be visible for many frames. So
exactly.
It cannot be Mercury.
Whenever I was looking at this, again, you can see the object. It's right there. And I am able to pick up on that little light source.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, there seems to be a region on its surface that's much brighter than the rest. That's for sure. Very interesting.
So I was changing some filters, and you can see it will pixelate very heavily. But you can tell there's an object there because there's the illumination. It's only about maybe 3, 4, 5 pixels big.
Mm.
So I found these objects before by identifying those bright spots, having an eye to catch them. And again, they could only be maybe a few pixels big. And you may think that the few pixels, you may think that is the whole object. But in actuality, it's not. You have to clean the photograph up to see what is actually being hidden behind it. And that little tiny illumination, that's giving it away. And that's showing me that something is happening on a much larger object. The little pixels that are lit up, that's not the object itself. That's something occurring on this spherical object that we're looking at. And I'm going to show you. I had to do a little bit of work for it, just this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the next attempt. And now, again, you can see the little white sphere.
Yes.
Again, you'll think, oh, okay, well, that's the object. So, I had to go a little further. Dig, dig, dig. That's what we do. Changing some of these filters and using some other techniques. As I start to roll into here, I'm like, oh boy, it definitely looks like a source of light, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
You could almost see another object back here.
Oh, yes.
But we don't have, a real confirmation on it.
Well, they do everything they can to hide these objects from us, Scott.
Oh, there's no doubt. Now, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in all the way. Now, this is where you guys need to get real close up on your computer screen because I can't zoom into this anymore on this frame. But as I was looking at this, and I'm tuning in on the few small pixels that are lit up, I start to see what looks to be horizontal lines and a much larger sphere.
Yes.
Horizontal lines almost looking like Jupiter. So I said, oh boy, okay, well, how could there be horizontal lines in that pixel? And only those few pixels.
Yes.
Doctor, on your screen, can you see those?
Yes, I can see it. It looks like stripes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that first image you took of the blue stellar core that seemed to have stripes.
Exactly.
And then later on, we could see that it was shedding the material those stripes were made out of. So it's likely that this is an object similar to that. I've recently written an article about the rejuvenation process they go through. And at the same time they shed these materials, they start becoming brighter, usually on a certain part of the surface, faster than on others. So this is exactly what we are seeing here.
Yeah, and I started looking a little closer. And, this brought my attention directly back to this region of this pic.
Yes.
And you can now see that these pixels, they're like kind of shining. You can see the light being emitted from it. But again, that's not the object. That's something occurring. You can still see the horizontal stripes.
Yes.
And they're nowhere else. Anywhere around there do you see these well-defined stripes on this object.
And one more thing, Scott, those stripes, if you look at it closely, are not complete straight lines. They curve slightly. So you can actually see this is a three-dimensional and spherical object that we are looking at.
Yeah, now this didn't come out very well.
Yeah. But I saw it clearly in the previous image, how the stripes curve slightly downwards on the left-hand side, showing that this is a spherical object these stripes are on.
Now, I decided to use this other filter, and it works very well for
Mhm.
trying to get through some of this noise, as we call it, in the stereo image. And I'm glad that I used it, because now I was able to clearly see the well-defined stripes.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yes.
And
Amazing.
the little black area that you see right here, folks, that is the light source. That's what I was originally tuning in on. That's what caught my eye on that image. Now, because it's inverted, the light source is going to be black. But we're also seeing more of that object. This is the furthest that I can zoom in. But
Mm.
what I was trying to define were these stripes. I mean,
Yes.
it looks like a little mini Jupiter.
Yes. That's what the blue stellar core did as well. And that I believe to be due to the symmetry of the magnetic field. All these objects there, you can clearly see how the stripes seem to dip a little bit downwards on the left-hand side. You can clearly see they are around a three-dimensional object. It's amazing. But this has to do with the symmetry of the magnetic field, which is strong at the North and the South Pole and weak on the equator of all these objects, which is why whatever material gathers on the object seems to be in greater quantity around the equator, which gives it then the striped look.
Now, here's where things get real crazy looking.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the last technique that I could use to try to bring out the definition of what we're looking at. And again, folks, it's so obscured. It's like a 1 in a million shot to like actually capture this or even see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to shrink everything down. Again, you know, this stuff you see here, this is the just noise, the noise from the imaging on the stereo core 2. There was a lot of interference coming from the sun that affects the detectors on the core 2, and that's when you see all of that flashing and the pixelization. You don't see the nice clear red screen. But as I moved in closer, now I can see that light source was some type of either eruption. I mean, doctor, what do you think about that? I mean, you can see now, you can see the clearly
Well,
defined
definitely.
line.
I can see it's a spherical object. I can see the spot where it's much brighter, and where it could be like an eruption. But what we know from the blue stellar core is that it's brighter on one spot than on everywhere else on its surface. And these objects seem to get brighter and brighter from around one spot.
And point out for everybody where this bright spot is facing.
It is, of course, facing the sun. And it was the same thing on the stellar core. It was also a spot on the side facing the sun that was brighter. So it corroborates. I mean, these objects seem to follow some kind of pattern in their rejuvenation process. It is a little different from the 2007 stellar core that had a bright spot on the side opposite to the sun. But I have determined now that there are two types of stellar cores that are arriving at the sun. There are the younger ones and the older ones. The younger ones are more like white dwarfs, and the older ones are more like the blue stellar core that seems to shed its material that it uses to ionize and produce light. And also starts emitting light from the core itself.
Yeah, this still has me, you know, a little stumped.
It's
I wish I
an
could get clear.
amazing discovery. Again, Scott, you keep doing this, making amazing discoveries.
Yeah, you know, and I would have like just missed this and just shrugged it off. But I've learned, you know, by analyzing so much of the stereo imaging, when I see those few little bright spots, I don't know, I could just pick them up. I know they're not normal,
Mm-hmm.
and I know they shouldn't be there.
Yes.
So that's what just gives me the clue to look a little further. And
this is definitely more evidence to everything that we've both been talking about for many, many months now.
Yeah, and I took a look at the date for the photograph, exactly where the stereo spacecraft would be. And here is where stereo A is.
Mm-hmm.
And here is Mercury.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there is the great chance that the angle of stereo A on this day when this was taken this morning, and I got it at the same time.
Mm. Yeah,
But
I think
the stereo A have that much
yes.
of an angled view of the sun,
No,
because
I don't think it does.
this
That's
object is clearly where my cursor is.
Yes.
Very, very
Exactly.
close. And Mercury would stay in all of the frames,
Mm-hmm.
not just a 12-minute clip, which to us is 1 second. So their 12 minutes is one frame for us. So that just, that kind of got me going. Okay, is that Mercury? Mercury doesn't have stripes. Mercury is at this position in its orbit. Its orbit doesn't elongate till when it's back here, because Mercury has an elongated 88-day orbit around the sun. It does move quickly, but not that quick.
No, you're right, not that quick.
I progress.
Also, Mercury is, it's quite far outside, I think, the detection area of stereo A, which is, for the core 2 is aimed on the sun itself. So
yeah, and core 2 and core the coronagraphs are facing in this way, so you do see Mercury in the core 2, the C2, or excuse me, the C2 and C3 coronagraphs.
Yes.
Because a lot of people were asking about that, and that's Mercury, and it's been there for a couple of days, and it's going to be there for a couple more days as it moves away from the view of C2 and C3.
Yes. Because C3, the C2, the LASCO C2 chronograph is at the L1 position, so exactly between the Earth and the Sun, which is why then Mercury would be in that image. But stereo A is not in the same position. You just showed where it was.
Yeah, now this is again, this is the exact day and time. This is the month December 6th. And again, you have Earth, the Moon, Ceres, and you have Mercury. And the reason why Mercury is highlighted, there's an alignment with Uranus there, Uranus. There's an alignment with Uranus. But, once again, I'm just trying to make sure that, am I seeing Mercury within that frame?
Mm.
And to me, the answer is absolutely not.
Mm.
It's not even possible, because this object is like where my cursor is, not all the way out where Mercury is in its orbit on this day and this time. Now, I'm sure there will be, people that will say, oh, you're crazy. Oh, more of your crap, blah, blah, blah. But no. It's definitely something that we're going to be looking at a lot harder in the next couple of days. I wanted to share that with all of you because I thought that was kind of important, because I've never captured something that small on the C2 around this time of the month. We're in the first
actually, because the sun is so small in these images, that object is actually quite huge, probably larger than Jupiter.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely caught my eye, and we're going to be looking more into it, over the next couple of days. And the problem is trying to get better views of it, and that's
Yeah.
that's just a big problem. There are some other things that I'm taking a look at, and let me just take a look here real quick. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Let me just share my screen real quick. Give me a second, folks. And we're going to take a look back at this image. And this was captured on November 30th. And I was reviewing some information on the cactus coronagraph because I was watching the beginning stages of a coronal mass ejection. And, over the course of my little studies, when we have these coronal mass ejections, there's a very high possibility it's due to the fact that Planet X is very close to the sun. There is a very severe reaction with the sun and Planet X, and we get these coronal mass ejections. I've also been able to identify this object within these coronal mass ejections because it's so close and it's creating them. So this is what I captured on November 30th.
Yes.
During the coronal mass ejection. Here's a blow up. Now, on these coronagraphs from Cactus, they put together a very, very fast video of this coronal mass ejection because that's all that they are detecting. I did a video about this because I detected this on the 29th and the 30th when it occurred. I reported on it, and then the next day I went back because I wanted to check something else out. I wanted to see if they updated it with a few more frames. Well, the information for the 30th was gone, and it's still gone.
Yes.
Now, on the 29th, it's there. They left the 29th. And the reason why, when you're watching the little video clip, is it seems like this object comes in for one frame, and then it's gone on the next frame. But the reason why is because of the lengthy time lapse. Listen, folks, if you guys don't understand what time-lapsed photography is, then you need to school yourself on it, look it up, read about it, watch a tutorial about time-lapse, but that's what they used. So they're basically putting a bunch of images together to form a video. And the cactus, I don't even know. I mean, sometimes it's different time frames. So this object can look like it's there for one frame and gone the next. Well, the reason why is because the length of the time frame.
Yeah, time between the frames.
Exactly. So what do you think? You think this big, gigantic, solid sphere just is what? Part of the coronal mass ejection? What do you think? The sun just spit a puppy out that big?
It's amazing, Scott.
Shit.
I mean, this is, of course, more evidence of what's there, what's happening. I mean, we've talked about this over and over again, how these objects are actually provoking the sun into having CMEs. And there it is, more evidence. And the fact that these organizations associated with NASA actually remove data in order to hide this fact is more evidence of the fact that they are there and they are trying to hide them. And the most surprising thing is that people who should know better and have seen this evidence that NASA and the associated organizations keep hiding information over and over and over again, just come back and believe that NASA is a good organization. And that anybody who has an inroad in NASA is honest and is not a liar like NASA is.
Exactly. These were just some of the original pictures that I snagged on the 29th. And then, very, very early, I'm talking like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on the 30th of November is when I went back. And they did have a few more frames added to their observation. And I snagged those. And that's when I made my video, posted it on YouTube. It was on my Facebook page. And about 8 hours later, I went back because I wanted to see if they just updated a few more frames like they always do. As the data comes into them from space, they get it. Well, when I went back for my update, it was gone. They just erased it, man. Period.
Wow.
Yeah. All of the marks for the coronal mass ejection detection that went from the 29th to the 30th. They kept the ones for the 29th, but when it led into the 30th and they posted it, and I viewed the footage and I even saved it, they erased it.
Wow. That's blatant, Scott.
What's that?
It's blatant, this lying, this removal of data. It's just unbelievable. But again, it goes with what I said. NASA are lying. And anybody that believes NASA is, sorry, you either don't know any better or you should know better if you've been, in this, you've been trying to tell people the truth. By now, you should know that NASA lies. If you then go back and believe again that NASA are honest and telling you the truth, it's very strange.
I mean, here's a blow up. And again, I worked feverishly on these images, and I did my thing. I wanted to get the clearest photographs for people to see. And folks, if you're looking at your screen right now, I hope the hell you're not looking at this on a cell phone. I hope you're looking at this on either a huge flat screen TV or a big computer monitor. I mean, if you think that's a lens flare, if you think that's some type of camera anomaly, if you think this is some type of mistake, you are sadly mistaken, because this is not the first time that I've captured this object in the coronagraphs from Cactus. I've actually caught them many, many times. It's all been publicized on my Planet X News YouTube channel and the Planet X News Facebook page. And each and every time, the photographs that I've captured from Cactus have been phenomenal. And it is 100% evidence that what we are telling you is true. 100%. Now, you'll have these dumbass troll operations that will tell you up and down, or these debunkers, that this is a lie. None of this is happening. We're all crazy, blah, blah, blah. we're in this for the money, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what the hell is that? There you go. There's your sun.
Yes, and if it was nothing, why do you bother removing the data?
Yeah, I mean, really, why hide it?
That's what they did, you know, they removed the data. Why would you even bother to do that? Removal of data is completely unethical in scientific circles.
I put this through every single filter and technique that I had to, assure myself that what I'm seeing is actually there. And, talking about size, in conjunction with the size of the sun and that object, and even in the positioning of that object, it's obviously very close to the sun. It's huge. It is a massive object. I mean, I actually think that this is the biggest object in this system. There even seems to be very small spheres around it.
Yes.
I don't know. It gets pixelated as you zoom in, but you can clearly see this is not some type of fakery. That's about as real as it gets.
That's right. Yeah, and they are usually other smaller objects attached because these objects connect magnetically to each other as well as to the sun. So sometimes they almost seem like Lego blocks to me, the way they stick to each other.
Yeah.
But that's what seems to be happening.
Yeah. This was just the original image that I had to work off of, and even the original image, without clarifying things, even the original image brings it into suspect.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll zoom in on it for you.
Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, the only thing I did to the original was got rid of the pixels, because these coronagraphs are heavily pixelated.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day when they launched these spacecraft, they did have the best of the best in camera systems, but they've been up there for so long now. What do you think? People are just going up there and saying, oh, we've made some technology advancements in cameras. Let's go up there and change the cameras on these coronagraphs out in space. No, it don't work that way. So you can clear imaging up now on the ground, but the actual camera that's on the craft, no, that's not getting updated. Maybe some software, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? But this was the original, and the pixels were just decreased so we could get a better view of it. Interesting.
Very interesting, yes.
Yeah, and I just darkened this up so we can once again start to see the clear definition. The reason why this area is black is because this cactus coronagraph is already inverted into like a grayscale. So any type of white light, as we would refer to it, would now be black.
Yes.
And this was part of a small coronal mass ejection that was starting to occur on the 29th of November, leading into the 30th of November, and then the blast.
Yeah.
So that's what we've captured. And this one, again, just trying to use some different techniques to bring out what is really there. And wow, when you look at it up close without it being so heavily pixelated, here, let me get it in the middle of the screen for you. I mean, you can see what's going on. You can see the coronal mass ejection. It has encompassed this area of this object. That's why it's black. But you can clearly see this monster.
Yeah. We can clearly see that the object is moving with the coronal plasma, which again, this is a huge object. So to see an object move away with coronal plasma again puts in doubt, falsifies again, the gravitational view of the universe. This is how these objects have show us that the gravitational view, the way everything happens due to gravitational collapse, is completely wrong. This object is not interacting with the sun through a gravitational interaction as we've known gravitational interactions.
You know, one thing I want to say real quick. You know, I'm not downgrading science, folks, because I try to use science to prove what's happening. But academics, scientists, think tanks, whatever you want to call them, they'll be the first to admit, yes, we don't know everything about our sun. We don't even know everything about our own planet, let alone what's out there in the inner solar system, what's out there in the outer solar system, what's in the outreaches beyond our solar system. Yes, there's been some pretty big advancements and finds in astronomy. And all of the sciences have truly come a long way. But they're not going to come out here and commit suicide in their profession, even though they're probably just, you know, frothing at the mouth to do so. But who actually wants to be at the forefront of this? Because your career will be over. I don't care who you are. I mean, do any of you actually have an explanation for what you're seeing? Do you think the sun spits out big, massive, spherical objects like this during a coronal mass ejection? Because this is not the first time that I've captured this. I think that we've made all of the biggest significant finds during these coronal mass ejections. And I've been tracking this now since May of this year. So for the last 7 to 8, 9 months, I've been capturing this. And not just on the cactus. I've caught it on C2, the coronagraph, SOHO, LASCO. I've caught these images on stereo, A, core 2. I've caught them on SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. I think we've made some of the biggest finds when dealing with our theories of Planet X. And, you know, just using the terminology Planet X, you know, it could be very broad. Planet X, the X was originally meaning, you know, the 10th planet. I do believe that's where the X came in. I use it in a different terminology. It's basically the name that we've given it, the name that it got. But it's like the X factor, you know what I mean? It's like that big question mark. I mean, what do we do now? Do we give it a name? Like these scientists do?
I call it stellar cores, but I like to use the Planet X because a lot of people know a little bit about Planet X. And but I quickly make people realize that these are not planets; these are stars, old stars, and
yes.
I often call them stellar cores. But Planet X is also in honor of Dr. Harrington, who lost his life whenever he in New Zealand because of what he actually found.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You know, folks, one thing I wanted to touch on real quick, you know, when Dr. Albers refers to these objects as stellar cores, let's just key in on the word core. If any of you don't really understand what she's talking about, let's just try to put it into layman's terms. When we're talking about a core, we're talking about a spherical center mass of these objects. At one time, this object was probably much, much larger. What we're looking at now are the possibilities of these being the remnants, the inner cores, like for instance, our Earth. Everybody talks about the core of the Earth. Some say it's liquefied, some say it's solid. If you stripped away all of the surface of Earth and just left the core, that's what we're looking at. Now, we're looking at probably one of the oldest objects in our galaxy. That is truly incredible. We don't know how old this object is, but it's old enough to the point where it cooled down and traveled its ways through space, through our galaxy. It is in our solar system. It is near our sun. It is orbiting our sun. It is now, in my belief, a part of our solar system. So that is what is left of it. But as it came in, and the sun and this object, I basically got into a magnetic field tug of war. Naturally, the sun may be much stronger than this object, and it has pulled it in. Whatever came in with this monster, like other smaller planets or moons, they may be orbiting further out of our view. And then, again, it may not have anything orbiting it, but that is highly unlikely because these cores, they have very, very strong magnetic fields. They will pull in objects such as moons and planets that it has gone past through its travels through space. So, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes that's very hard to fathom, to think about. But this object has been on a long, long, long road. And for us to think for 1 minute that it has not come in contact with other objects in deep space in our galaxy, if you think that way, then you need to just bury your head in the sand, because that's just not possible. So we don't truly know what this object has brought in, but we do know it has disturbed everything, all of the known planets in this solar system. That's a scientific fact. And now NASA's preparing to launch this Sun spacecraft directly towards the sun. I was reading about some of the information today. They need to get something out there with newer technology. Their claim is more analyzing the sun with this craft. I mean, it has heat shields on it that can withstand up to 2,500 degrees. That's what they said. I thought the sun would be much hotter, don't you? But that's what the initial report was on this object. They're getting closer and closer and closer to launching it. And that makes me think, okay, they're getting another set of eyes out there because they need newer technology out there. They want to see it up close and personal. And do you think we're ever going to get some feed from this new probe going out there? Oh, no, no, no. We may get some like little views of the sun, but we're not going to get no live feeds from it. I could guarantee you that. So that is basically, I wanted to just put that into your heads when Dr. Albers refers to these objects as stellar cores. So this is basically what is left over of a star from millions, tens of millions, possibly billions of years ago.
Yes,
And
may
go ahead,
have
Dr.
taken
Albers.
a long time indeed.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we will never be able to put a number on the age of these objects, but because they're able to get so close to the sun and not just completely explode like a planet would, even though Mercury does, come very close to the sun at points, it still survives. We don't know the exact composition or makeup of this object, but I mean, for it to generate such a strong magnetic field, well, what would have to happen, Doctor? It would have to have a very high metallic composition, wouldn't it?
And not just a high metallic, it has to be extremely dense because the melting point of objects has to do with density. So the Earth's core, even though it's very dense, it will melt at 7,000 degrees Kelvin. But because the sun's corona is at 2 million degrees Kelvin, we would need an extreme density. Now, the sun's core is believed to have a density which is 10 times greater than that of the core of the Earth, about 10 times greater. So this object, I suppose, would have the same type of density that the core of the sun has, which is extreme. It's about 150 grams per centimeter cube, whilst the Earth's core has a density of 13 grams per centimeter cube. And that's what I say. It's even greater than 10 times. But the sun's core is about 1/5 of the size of the sun. So if this object is the core of a star, well, it was the core, it is the core of what was once a main sequence star. As a main sequence star, it would have been 5 times larger than the core that we see nowadays, if we transfer the same logic from the sun to these objects. So these would have been extremely large objects, and the magnetic field is what holds stars together. But when these objects start aging, the energy starts dropping, the magnetic field starts dropping. So then they're not able to hold on to their surface plasma. So they start expanding and they turn into a red giant. And so they keep on losing their outer layers of material until eventually there's very little left. And at that stage, when this layer is right on top of the core, suddenly the object becomes a white dwarf, and it becomes super bright because it's suddenly able to ionize what's left very well. So it's very bright initially, but then it cools down. And because the core of the object is always cool, it doesn't take that long. Nowadays, astrophysicists will say that the white dwarf will take too long to cool down to the point that only emits infrared radiation. And I'll say, well, there is plenty of evidence that these objects have provided themselves, that the cores and the inside of stars are actually cool. It's only a very thin layer on the outside that gets very hot and glows. So it doesn't take that long for the inside of a star to cool down. And so they become what I initially called brown dwarf stars, and now I call stellar cores, because they're basically the very core, very dense core of what was once a main sequence star, with a little bit of material clinging to it that the star would ionize to produce light. But it doesn't have enough energy to do that anymore. So it's attracted to the sun, makes a magnetic connection to the sun, starts drawing energy from the sun, and it starts being able to emit light, visible light once again. This is the rejuvenation process they go through when they arrive at the sun. And so it for me, it's been fascinating to discover what these objects are actually doing and why they have come to the sun and what they are teaching us about the universe.
Yeah, that's definitely broadening each and every week that goes by. You know, we're learning a little bit more and a little bit more, and we're still capturing the object, and that's a good thing. Is there anything that we can do about it, ladies and gentlemen? No, there is absolutely nothing that we can do about it. It's going to continue to have very adverse effects on our sun, and we've gone over that many, many times. There has been a lot of activity on our sun. Listen, it's a star. Having these types of things occur on the sun, pretty normal. But when we're seeing constant, constant major disturbances, we started seeing huge disturbances on the sun in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16. Here we are at the end of 2017. And I think things have kind of settled into a pattern. At least that's something that I've been able to detect over the course of these last 9 months. And I tell people, I know exactly when I'm going to be capturing this object again. And just like I mentioned last month and the month before and the month before, my timeline, it's pretty spot on. It was a few days off this month, but only by about 2 or 3 days. But then, right when I said it would be where it would be, there it is. And we got it once again. But, you know, how many pictures are we going to be fascinated with? I know a lot of people want major answers. But folks, you know, I wish I had that crystal ball that I can give all of us the answers. There are no predictions. My philosophy and my theory is that we are not in our lifetime, definitely not in our lifetimes, are we going to see this object disappear and go away. I don't think you'll see it go away in 100 lifetimes.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
this,
you're right, Scott. These objects don't show any signs of ever leaving the sun. In fact, they seem to have started being incorporated into this system of multiple stars, which seems to be producing maybe a much larger star. And that is what I think is happening. So and I think more of these objects keep arriving because we keep finding these very black ones still on the sun, starting to absorb plasma and eventually become enveloped in it. So the system is growing. The star at the center of the solar system is a multiple star now, and it seems to be growing in size. And these objects seem to be adopting a certain position with respect to the sun, which then rotates the whole system. Not all of them, some are still whizzing around in their own orbits. Some seem to be adopting a stationary position, but the system seems to be growing. So what I would expect to happen is that the sun may at first seem to grow in size and maybe grow brighter, but eventually, if the number of these objects does not keeps increasing, then they will sap all the energy that the sun has, and eventually the whole thing at the center, the whole multiple star, will grow dark. So we will have increased brightness, maybe first, increased size, but eventually we'll have no star emitting any light at the center of the solar system.
yeah, you know, and ladies and gentlemen, that you know, that can happen today, that could happen tomorrow, that can happen 10,000 years from now. It's just basically we are caught up in a situation here on this planet where we have so many things that are occurring with our planet that are directly related to what's happening out there near our sun. It's very hard to choke down. It's very hard to believe in because of everything that you were taught from stage one. Also, the huge disinformation campaigns that are put out there by government agencies and these trolling operations and debunkers and people that just are out there putting out bad information and showing you photographs taken from their phones or their cameras, and there's no real definitive proof of anything. But what I've been trying to show you for a very long time is that this monster is there. It is wreaking havoc with our sun. In turn, our sun affects the earth in violent ways. And we've been seeing it. We have been seeing the uptick, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Now we have some of the most severe issues occurring around the world, weather-related. We've had many discussions on that. The earthquake intensity is picking up. Volcanic activity is picking up violently. I'm not just talking about the little eruptions and the little earthquakes. Okay, there's a lot of you that pay very close attention to all of these subject matters. And that is one of the things that Dr. Albers and I wanted to do. We wanted to actually get all of you on board, paying attention to all of these things, getting yourself involved. And it's worked, because there is a network worldwide. Worldwide, there are people from every walks of life speaking different languages from different cultures in different countries around the world that are now in tuned with investigating this, following it, understanding it. That's a big plus. But we need more. We need more people to understand, get on board. That's a fact. You know, I know I've come down on some other YouTube channels for their supposed work and what they've been showing you. And maybe I went about it the wrong way, but what's making me mad, what's making me really mad, is the fact that Dr. Albers and I are showing you without a shadow of a doubt what is truly there, what is really there. We're trying to bring you the most scientific proof and evidence. And I thought that's what all of you wanted. But then it just seems like there are these people that follow these other groups and other stories and storylines, and they're just hell bent on, you know, moving in that direction, and there's nothing we can do about that. The fact of the matter is, this is what is there. It's not called Nibiru, because this just doesn't even fit into the whole Nibiru hypothesis or theory or story. It just doesn't. There are other theories out there, and people are, you know, you're all free to think and do and say what you want. You know, even Dr. Albers and I don't truly know 100%. But what we do know is the observations that both of us have been making and the scientific data that Dr. Albers has put together over her time involved in this points to one thing right now. And that is, we have one of these cores, these remnants, this interior of an old star that is basically duking it out with our sun. It's here. It's not going anywhere. So for all of you that ask me about, when is this object going to get breakaway speed? That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The sun now has an interior partner. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, mainstream science can come out today and divulge this information to you, but they're afraid of what it will do to their control over the people, the world, their countries, their states, and academics, what it will do to science. But furthermore, what will it do to the minds of the people? It's too big. It will always be too big. It goes in the same subject line as extraterrestrials, aliens, life outside of our planet. Listen, folks, we're not the only species in our galaxy. We may not be the only species in our solar system. We may not be the only species on this planet. Nobody knows for sure. Well, the governments do. We know they do. But we always have to be prepared. And in the state of the situation of this country in the United States and many, many other countries abroad, things are falling apart. Things are falling apart with the weather, the earth, politics, government, society. And you all know that I'm telling the truth. But we're going to keep on plugging away. I want to make sure that each and every one of you start following the Planet X News Facebook page. Please start following the website. All of the links, let me get down to this. All of the links are in the description box under the video. You can quickly share to Facebook. You can share it to Twitter. Here's the link for the website. All of our YouTube channels. Here's the link for the Facebook page. Start following it. Here's the link for Twitter. It's all right there, folks. So, I ask that all of you do please share the videos, get over there to the website, and there is a little subscribe button that I installed here. And the reason being is, you have to set up your notifications for YouTube and blah, blah, blah. Well, here you can click on this, enter your email address, click get email notifications. They'll send you an email confirming that you want the notifications in your email. Click yes, 1, 2, 3, you're done. So then if you're working and you think you're missing out on anything, it will all be in your email. All of the articles, the posts, or make it a habit, bookmark the website by using your little star up here, and you'll have access to everything that's posted, all of these articles. And I work very hard at this, keeping all of this information flowing. The website's not censored. People are now able to see it around the world. It's amazing that this is happening. This is what I've wanted. I've wanted to reach out to everyone worldwide. And again, you could reach our YouTube channels. The links are right here, Planet X News, Dr. Albers' channel, our backup channel over here. All the information's right there. So click on it, bookmark it, and definitely, get over to the Facebook page, the Planet X News Facebook page. A lot of information. I share everything over there. This is what it looks like. Most of you follow it. We have over 14,000 followers on the Planet X News. And everything is shared right here. Everything. Everything gets shared right here. A lot of things that I just don't want to make a video about, I can share very rapidly right here. All of the articles are shared here. All of the photographs are shared here after I'm done analyzing them. All of the information is right here, right at your fingertips, folks. So, the reason why I'm saying this is I want you guys to use it. Don't make it hard on yourself saying, oh, I'm not getting any notifications for your YouTube channel. Don't even worry about that. Stick to the Planet X News Facebook page and the website, and all of the information will be there. The videos, the live streams, the photographs, the pictures, the articles, everything. Now, I'm even able to upload Dr. Albers' reports and video into an article on the website. And you can actually utilize her written report and do your own live stream. You know what I mean? Do your own video report based on her report. It works out pretty cool. For all of you that didn't see that before, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go find it. Let me see if I could search. Look at that. The search works. Man, I even got good at computer programming. Anyways, real quick, back to Dr. Albers' report.
Mm-hmm.
Here's her report. Here's an article about it. Oh no, this is the other report.
Yeah, this is the one challenging NASA. Mm.
Yeah. I'd have to go and find that. Man. Yeah, I'd have to go find. I have to go through all of these, and there's probably like 30 or 40 articles on it. But whenever you click on the actual article and you start to go through it and read it, there's a box there, and you can Dr. Albers' PDF file report is right there, and you can expand it and open it up full page. Now you can't download it, but you can open it up full page and screen share it and do your own video.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big plus. So all the links are in the description box underneath our video and in the live stream. I definitely say, folks, that's the best way to follow and keep the information flowing. I mean, that's the key right now. Keep this information flowing, and don't pay any attention to the trolls, and just keep on plugging away. I have the live chat opened up. Let me just pull this pop-up chat out here, see if anybody has any questions. Real quick, folks, the last 5-10 minutes we're on here Does anybody have any questions? You could go ahead and put them in the live chat. And any questions for me, any questions for Dr. Albers, would be more than happy to take some questions. Dr. Albers, that last report that you did write, Dr. Albers' last report, number 101.
Yeah.
She just issued reports 99, 100, and 101. They are on her YouTube channel. They are also on the Planet X News Facebook page. They will soon be up on the website sometime today. But Dr. Albers, anything else you want to touch base on?
Well, as usual, I'd like to say to people that it's time to get in contact with our Creator, because we are facing bad times on this planet. And we are in a war. Our Creator is for the truth, and there are forces on this planet that are for lies. And everybody gets a chance to choose their side. And the two of us have chosen the truth side, and I believe people who are watching us have chosen that side as well. And but there are people who would like us not to know the truth, and those ones are working for the enemies of God. So we get to choose our sides. But if we've chosen the truth, we will still go through some bad times, and the best thing that we can do is draw strength from our faith and get to know our Creator, I believe.
Doctor, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'll put you on the spot. This will be a hot question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about people who question you about your theories, your observations, your writings, your scientific thoughts on this matter? Everything that you've put into your research and your investigations. What do you think about when someone who isn't even as close to the level of academics where you are, what do you think about when they come across with these real arrogant questions, comments, and basically telling you you're wrong and you're nuts?
Yes, well, they
don't hold back here. Don't hold back.
Well, there are several categories of people that would do that. First are the ignorant ones who don't know anything and just simply are asking an honest question. Do I really know what I'm talking about? Those people, I would try to answer their questions, or maybe point them in the direction of the many articles that I've written, which I think where I have used the logical deduction and the training that I've had as a physicist to come up with real, believable and things that make sense. So if a person is honestly asking the question by reviewing the material, they should realize that I have done the job I am trying to do. And then there are those people that we know are trolls, and they will always question what I say no matter what, because they are paid to do that. They are basically working for NASA. And I put NASA and all the organizations that go with it in the same basket, because they all lie. They all clearly lie. And anybody that knows anything about NASA has caught them lying at least in one point. And I have caught them lying in things that I have shown irrefutably is impossible, just like the SDO eclipse season and so on. And then there are those people that at first seem to be my friends and believe everything that I say, that seem to know that I am a physicist and I have certain training. And then suddenly they decide to turn against me and become a troll. And those people, I would say, are Judas. Jesus had some of them in his group. Those are the people who decide that after a while of knowing you, that suddenly you don't know what you're talking about. That basically your training as a physicist is of no worth. So
Yeah,
to
you
me,
know,
these are people are Judas. And
Judas is a good word. We've had a bunch of those, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of months, we've had a band full of these backstabbers. Basically, they kind of, want to infiltrate you, pick your mind, check out your observations, check out your evidence, your reports. And then out of nowhere, they just basically turncoat, they flip right over. But for a lot of people that are new to our Planet X News channel and Dr. Albers' channel, I just want all of you to understand the academic level that this lady is up to. A lot of you don't know a lot about Dr. Albers and her credentials. You see, ladies and gentlemen, that's a big issue, because who are you subjectively going to accept information from? Are you going to accept information from some guy that was maybe a carpenter at one time, and then all of a sudden, he decided to just delve into Nibiru and Planet X and start making videos, or put up a website, or open up a Planet X or Nibiru group page on Facebook? I mean, are you actually going to believe people that, I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but what I'm saying is, be cautious where you're getting your information, because you don't truly know who these other people are. You don't know who they are. They're not your friends. They're not your neighbor. This can be some guy on the other side of the world. But Dr. Albers, I want you to briefly go over your academics and your achievements from entering college, your master's degrees, your doctorate, the whole 9 yards. Let these people know your academic background and who you are and what your title is, because we just don't call you Dr. Albers for nothing.
Okay.
Don't be shy and don't be modest.
All right. So I started university at age 17, and I did an undergraduate degree, and I was top of my class. I got a gold medal in third year. I got another gold medal in honors for being top of my class again. And then I did a master's degree in theoretical physics, and then I did a Ph.D. in theoretical physics, in particle physics, theoretical particle physics. And then later on, I did a master's degree, another master's degree in science education.
Oh, so you have two masters.
Yeah, I have two master's degrees.
And how many years did you lecture and teach at which university?
17 years. I lectured for 17 years. I love teaching. I actually love teaching my students about problem solving, about teaching them how to think logically. It was one of my passions to teach my students to both think physically, which is in a deductive kind of manner, in a logical, step-by-step way, as well as creative at the same time. So to me, it was my passion to teach this to my students. And I must say that I have now put what I was teaching my students in practice with my own research into the subject.
Yeah, you've done a very, very good job, and you've helped me quite a bit with a lot of the scientific background on all of this.
Thank you.
One thing I want to go into is when did you obtain the title of doctor?
When I got my PhD, which was in 1992.
So it just wasn't something that, you just became a doctor of physics like yesterday.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, you can only use the title once you get a PhD. So if I didn't have a PhD, I wouldn't have the title.
Now,
Yeah, it took 9 years to get to that. You don't just do it overnight.
oh yeah, you're a very, very smart woman. I mean, you blow me away the most of the time with with talking to you.
Thank
One
you.
other thing I want to get into, a lot of the opposition, debunkers, people that try to discredit you,
Mhm.
they always say, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully here, okay? They always say, oh, Dr. Albers, she hasn't published anything. None of her work has been peer reviewed. Now, the peer review process is complete garbage. It
Mhm.
is a sham, just like all of your governments are. Okay. However, before Dr. Albers decided to come to the United States, there was a huge physics conference in South Africa where she came from. She submitted 2 papers, 2 abstracts to the committee for the physics convention. And both of her papers were pretty closely based on Planet X and observations that she was making with the Solar Dynamics Observatory eclipse season, as they call it. Now, I want all of you to understand something. This woman's credentials should never, ever come into question, because out of all of the hundreds and hundreds of physicists that issued and submitted papers and abstracts to speak at this conference over a period of many days, Dr. Albers was chosen to deliver not one, but 2 speeches based on her abstracts that she submitted. Now, it was getting very, very close to the point in time when she was going to be leaving to the United States. She had all intentions of speaking to the entire physics body at that convention. But because of some security issues that were coming up very quickly, I advised her that this might not be a good idea, and you better get to the United States as soon as possible. Dr. Albers left on the flight. I think it was when was that convention?
The convention was in July, and I left South Africa at the end of June.
Yeah, so you were already here in the United States as the convention was about to begin.
That's right.
You want to talk a little bit about that, that process?
Okay, Scott. Yeah, I did send those abstracts to the conference, and I had presented at this conference many times before. It's a national conference, physics conference in South Africa for all physicists in South Africa. I had presented on other things. I decided to start presenting my work on this subject because of the trolls attacking me and getting me into trouble with my, the head of school and the dean of the faculty and so on. And the head of school, one of the things he said to me, why don't you present your work? So I decided to try and present my work. But from the beginning, I had decided that it wasn't worth doing it. I already had decided not to present on particle physics as well, because I stopped believing in what was happening in particle physics. And I believe that any contribution that I could make to the subject would take the subject away further away from the truth, like I believe most particle physicists are doing right now. So I had decided to rather publish in another area that was close to my heart, which was science education. And so when I decided to research this subject, I knew that the gatekeepers, which are the peer review system, would not allow the truth to come through and get published. So I had already decided that I don't want to go there. I know they will not allow it to get published. When I got into trouble with my head of school, basically, I was, it was very stressful for me at the time. And, he said, why haven't you published? And I thought, well, perhaps I can send it to the conference. And I was actually surprised that my abstracts were accepted because they are definitely peer reviewed.
Yeah, I was surprised when you told me about that too.
Yeah, so because I know it's a gatekeeping business, this peer review system. The truth does not get in. Only things that take you further away from the truth, only things that agree with the Big Bang model, only things that agree with the gravitational collapse gets in astrophysics. Anything else apart from that is just not accepted. And the peer reviewers will say it's not acceptable because it doesn't agree with the theory. And they will come up with many excuses. I mean, it gets to the point that astronomers that don't believe in the Big Bang do not get time at the telescopes. They just don't get the time because whatever they want to show that would show that the Big Bang model is not true is just too dangerous for the system.
I have to agree. And ladies and gentlemen, just in the short time that Dr. Albers has been here in the United States since the very end of June, we'll just say the beginning of July 2017, here we are at close to the end of this year. Dr. Albers has already produced 2 books. They are fully published. They're both on Amazon. Her latest book that came out just a few weeks ago, it's actually doing very well. The Planet X Report 2017. This is an absolutely phenomenal publication, and it's as big as a magazine. And when we put this together, we used all of the up-to-date current observations, photographs in high definition, full color, and it's out there on Amazon. Her first book, Planet X: The Awakening, is out there. There was a little bit of a problem with Amazon. They accidentally produced the book in black and white and kind of small, but it's still a fantastic read. A lot of her report, and it takes you from the very beginning stages of how she came about into Planet X, her trip to the United States and where she's at right now. And then we put together the second book, the Planet X Report for 2017, and we wanted to get it out there as soon as possible. The book is $35. They do run specials at Amazon, but the reason why it was expensive is because we chose to use a bigger size, the magazine size for the print. It's a paperback, and also the full color high definition interior of the book. And we've been planning a bi-weekly magazine type subscription through Amazon, which will allow all of you to, pick up on the subscriptions. We're going to try to keep that cost really, really, really low with Amazon, but we feel that this is another avenue that we can utilize where people can put something in their hands, tangible, where you can sit somebody down and say, hey man, check this out. Here, I'll lend you my book. Buy it for somebody as a gift. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be attaching in that bi-weekly magazine, it's going to entail 3 of Dr. Albers' reports and all of the high definition photographs and observations that we've obtained. And again, folks, I don't know how much more proof and evidence that someone needs, but if they need more, we're going to get it. And we're going to reveal it. And we are going to publish it. So, for all of the debunkers and the troll organizations, you're not a published author. You are not a highly decorated physicist, a doctor of physics. You're a plumber. You're a carpenter. You're an auto mechanic. Maybe you just cut grass for a living. All those jobs are honorable, but you cannot step into the shoes that this lady wears when it comes to her academic level. It's not being arrogant, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a fact. I watched this lady do and create mathematical problems and equations that would make your head spin and your eyeballs roll into the back of your head. There's a big difference between what we do here at Planet X News and what others do in their groups, on their YouTube channels, and whatever they're out there doing. I want all of you to be subscribed. I want all of you to see the information, absorb the information, and I want you to share it with other people. That's the key. You know, folks, we're never going to get out of this. I mean, that's just a cold, hard fact. We do have to go about living our lives on a daily basis, but we can't deny that we've got some huge issues on this planet that we call Earth. This is where we live. This is where we breathe. This is where our heart beats. We do have the right to know what is happening. That's my job. That's Dr. Albers' job. And there are loads of people out there that would like to take that away. It happens every minute of every day. We are under direct attack. That's a fact. We've learned to live with it. The majority of the time, we laugh it off. But the information that you're always going to see on this channel will be from a professional, a scientific professional. And me, I'm the true investigator. I dig and I dig deep, and I'm not stupid. I'm very smart.
Scott, you are extremely intelligent, and you are a wonderful partner to do this research with. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have partnered up on this. You know, 2 different personalities from different ends of the world. I mean, that's just like finding a needle in the haystack. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It must be a godsend. And I truly believe in destiny. And destiny, a very, very strong, powerful energy, brought us together to form one voice. That's the voice that you're going to hear on this YouTube channel all the time. Yeah, you know, I get upset and I go on my rants and my tangents, but I have the right to. When I'm attacked by people that are digging and trying to drive knives into my back, I have every right to defend myself and defend Dr. Albers. And I'm not going to change that. I am who I am. Sometimes I give it to you raw, you know. But the majority of you that have been with me for quite some time, and you've been with me from the beginning, or you just started viewing our channel, that's who I am. Dr. Albers is very nice, very beautiful mind. And I could be the same way. But when people attack me, I'm not the person who turns the cheek. I fight back, and I fight back instantly. And the reason why is because of all of you, each and every one of you. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I could sit here and I could do all of this research every single day for myself, and not let the world in on any of it. But I don't think that's the reason why I was chosen. I don't think that that was the reason why my mind has been so enlightened over the years and continues to be enlightened. We have a goal. That goal is education. Dr. Albers is a teacher, a damn good teacher. And together, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to educate the world population on what's happening. And maybe, just maybe, some others out there that are scientists that do want to take a stab at the truth, that are willing to give it all up. Maybe they'll step forward. Maybe Dr. Albers and I will continue to go at it alone. But we have learned one lesson, and it's repeated itself continuously. There will always be people out there that will try to infiltrate us and what we do. It's happened a few times. It's just recently happened again. But it won't happen anymore. I get constant requests for collaboration. But I don't know who these people are, truly. And each time you try to collaborate with others, you don't know who they are. But they want at your information and they want to know what you're doing. So they make you feel like you're part of something. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I'm not that petty. I don't need to be part of anything. I'm more like your lone wolf. I prefer to go at it alone. I don't need to collaborate. And there's major trust issues. And all of these people have basically rolled over and shown their true colors.
Mm-hmm. The Judas colors.
Exactly. Judas. So I'm not going to go out there blowing out any names. You all know who you are. And that's why nobody will touch our subject matter other than little petty YouTube trolls. Nobody will touch us. You want to do an interview with Dr. Albers? You want to do an interview with me? You want to see the scientific evidence and the observations? You think that would be the hottest thing out there. But no, it's the worst thing out there. Having me or Dr. Albers anywhere near you is the worst thing you can do for your YouTube channel or your website. We're just too hot like that, Doc.
Yes, Scott, we are. They are desperate to destroy us, you know. NASA and the other organizations. And that's why they do what they do. They infiltrate, try to get us involved with certain groups that perhaps then are designed to turn against us. Anyway.
I just had to put that out there, you know?
Yeah.
Because we've talked about that before. This is a split screen here of both books, by the way, that Dr. Albers has already put out there. And again, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, she's now an accomplished author with 2 books under her name and to her credit in less than 6 months. She's written well over 100 reports on the subject matter. She has her own YouTube channel. She works diligently and very hard each and every day to investigate her reports, put her reports together professionally. And she was never a YouTuber. You know, she still is learning how to do her videos, but she does a very, very good job. I'm still trying to get her to live stream, but she won't do it.
Yeah.
She won't do it on her own, but
the thing is,
we'll
I'm
work her up to it.
A writer. My abilities range go towards writing more than public speaking. Of course, I can do it. You know, as a lecturer, I had to do it, but I prefer the writing part of it. But don't forget, when I was lecturing and if I was preparing scientific publications and learning new things all the time, it would sometimes take me a week to write the kind of reports that I am now writing in 1 or 2 days. So it takes a lot of work for me to do that. And then on top of that, I go and I make the video.
So you just don't slap these reports together. I know you put a lot of hours into them.
Not at all. I spend a lot of time on them.
And who does all of your diagrams that I see? You got those fancy diagrams in your reports. Who does all those?
Yeah, especially the ones that I've written recently, which is basically a summary of what I've discovered.
Well, who does those? Who does those fancy diagrams?
I do all of those. I draw them all.
I'm trying to drag it out of you, Doctor. It's okay. You don't have to be so modest.
Yes, I draw most of the diagrams. I enjoy writing and drawing, but it does take time. And the deductive reasoning, so that the logical progression that I write into the reports, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of thinking as well.
Oh, there's no doubt. You know, I'm definitely down with you on the thinking process because my mind is on fire when I'm sleeping. I don't get that much sleep. I actually do dedicate, well over 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week on what we're doing. Dr. Albers is well within the 12 to 13 hours. There's sometimes she's up very, very late, plugging away. And there is a lot for us to analyze, ladies and gentlemen. We keep our eyes on everything. In the office, I mean, we literally have 5 computers going 24 hours a day. Well, 4 of them are going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're monitoring everything. So we don't miss something. It's very, very critical. And we monitor the earthquake situations and everything going on the NASA feeds. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of brain energy. My God, sometimes my brain just feels zapped by the end of a day, but I don't even have a normal day. You know, I mean, I'm up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I just start working. By the time 4 o'clock comes rolling around, I've already put in 12 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Then
know.
sometimes I stretch a little bit further into that, maybe
Mm-hmm.
take a nap for a few hours. I'm right back up. And there is just entirely too much going on around the world that you have to keep in tune with. And we do our best. We do our best. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut this live feed short, and we're going to grab a bite to eat, and I'm going to start analyzing some more of these photographs that all of you've seen. But once again, please do me the favor, share the videos, share the articles that are being produced on the Planet X News website. Follow us on Facebook. It is key. If you guys are interested in the book, it's up on Amazon, both books. And look forward to the bi-weekly magazine that's going to be coming out. We're just trying to get other avenues to reach more people around the world, and it seems to be working. Before, we were only being seen in 6 countries on this planet. As of today, we are now being seen in 36 countries worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes and your ears wide open. There's a lot of things going on right now in governments and politics and militaries and in our skies with our weather, our planet. But please follow us on all of the social medias, participate, and spread the word. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being with us today, and look forward to even more. We're not going anywhere. We're about to kick it up a notch. This is Scott from Planet X News, and our Planet X physicist, Dr. Claudia Albers, would like to thank you, and you all stay safe. Have a great day.